Well, hello everybody and welcome back again to the 368th edition of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. I'm your host Steve Wellings, and joining me on the call we have Rapping Rob Kelly, Ozzy Smith and Andy Patterson. As you know, we are having a few technical difficulties tonight. Not sure if it's computer based or maybe Mixler based, but there's something not quite working. We are here trying to put out a podcast to you. It's live at the moment. Let me know if you can hear me. It might go off. We just don't know at the moment. Obviously, that last run didn't go too well, but with fingers crossed, things will work out a little bit better this time. Shout out to everybody in the chat. They're sticking with us there. Not really much else to do, boys. Take Ames is there. Swaggy Taggy. Tosh, Trading Leather Boxing. Going to try and bring on our second guest of the evening. Didn't quite work out with the first guest, which was a shame because he was a real conscientious boxer, real professional, real good guy. So we'll try and get him back again next week. Andy, do you want to rehash what we went through earlier, what you've been doing during the week? You've been camping out, watching a bit of boxing on YouTube?
Camping out, alright, mate. I'm fucking cabin fever getting us now as well. I'm crab as fuck today. Saying to Aussie and that as well, because you know, we're a social experiment in that. You know, there's Aussie tanning 25 bottles of Stella there on Friday night, but that toilet trip was a bit of a hazard. But yeah, I'm the same. Like, I'm trying to kind of cut down the amount of lager I'm drinking, but it's just too easy to crack a cold one open and put the fights on, man. That's what I've been doing. Apart from like mucking about with the kids and keeping them occupied and stuff. It's been a wee bit Archie Moore, as I say, some fights for the 1980 Olympics. Rocky Juarez, Rex Zhao against Horfimio Mukai, and Mario Barrios against Baitar Akhmedov, which was a couple of months back ago, as I says to Cece Zellerone and that. It was just a shame we couldn't get the full Shinny Bayar episode up. I'll just text him, apologise, he's receptive, he will be coming back on next week. We'll get that one fixed now, because it was a really good interview actually. It's a shame it didn't go ahead.
Andy, I heard a flick in the system, but the boys says we're still live, so I just held off there. So thank you for your contribution. I'm just going to bring in Ozzy to let us know how he's been getting on this week, and then I'll call our guest. Just wanted to hold off there because I did hear a flick. The boys said we're still on, so we're good to go at the moment. Ozzy, you jump in there.
Yeah, so just getting on with things. It's all you can do, really. Mentioned before, watch the first Carl Froch, George Groves fight. Relived that first round, which I think nigh on everybody was amazed at what happened. And then still to this day, rue that early Howard Foster stoppage and how different it could have been for George Groves. I always think the judges got away with that from that perspective. Because I thought the cards were awful. I thought Groves was walking the fight. So it's always a somewhat disappointing watch because I had money on Groves that night. So it ruined my night, fucking Howard Foster stepping in. And then as Andy said, yeah, I've been partial to bottles of lager, namely Stella and Heineken. So, yeah, if there's nothing else to do in this lockdown, I'm now supping more beers than I would be if the boozers were open during the week. So it's all you can keep going. We're certainly going to come to the lockdown will be ending probably, I reckon, in a month's time. And we just keep going. We'll keep producing the podcast, getting more guests on from a range of different eras, keep seeing what we can do and take it from there, really. So, yeah, enjoying it.
Thanks, Ozzy. Excellent stuff. We have our guest on now. Delighted to welcome Jordan Reynolds. How are you, Jordan?
I'm all good, mate. How are you?
Not too bad at all. Thanks for sticking with us. As I say, a few gremlins, but you were just saying there we're all stuck in the house at the moment, unfortunately. How are you holding up?
Yeah, mate, listen, I'm trying to keep busy. I think for us, boxers ain't too bad because we're always isolated away from our families. We're always in training camp, but it's starting to get to me now, to be honest, because I need to start fighting. I'm starting to get itchy knuckles, so I'm just trying to stay busy, mate, if I'm honest. It's hard, but mate, it's hard.
What type of stuff are you doing physical wise? I mean, are you doing a bit of punch bag in the garage, or how are you staying fit?
Yeah, like I've got access to a barn. It's in the middle of nowhere, so I've got all the gym stuff there, from boxing ring bags, gym, like weight. So I've just been living in there. And I do the old school dance as well. So I've been looked in with my partner. I've been doing all the old school drive, swing, dance things with her. So I've been keep busy, and then the other day, I literally thought, you know what, I've been doing some mad things, to be honest, mate. I've been camping in the forest for a few days, like, thinking to myself, just something different, like, I don't even know, mate. Just trying to get the time to pass, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the physical side of things. What about the mental side of things? How do you stay focused and sort of, keep busy?
I just think right now it's a test, and like it's going to show in the long run who's like only the strong survive here, and whoever's chipping away and staying focused and strong and fit is gonna come through this. Especially when the boxing that starts, backing up. We all have like 6 or 7 weeks notice, so we all need to be ready and 100%. And whoever's 100% ready, mate, is going to get them opportunities first. So I'm just staying ready. Like I could take a fight on 5 or 6 weeks notice now. A few spars and then I'm good to go.
So am I right in saying then you're about to turn pro and then the debut got put on hold, is that correct?
Pardon, mate?
You were about to turn pro, is that right? And then the debut got put on hold. What's the current situation?
Yeah, like, we was hoping for the debut to be in June. So so I don't know what's going on with that now. Like I know boxing's cancelled till the end of April. I mean, if we reschedule it in the next few weeks, but yeah, June was the target. So I don't have a clue what's going on now. Like I'm just, like I said, just ticking over, mate. Like doing as much as I can. Literally that.
Yeah. What are your professional aspirations then? What do you think, Jordan, you can achieve in the sport once things get going?
I think, do you know what, with the pro game, I think I'll be flying. To be honest, like I've always been suited to the pro style. I had to adapt as an amateur. I was brought up in a pro gym, but I've had a good amateur career. Even though I started boxing late, or I started boxing at 16. Done everything I needed to do as an amateur, apart from going to the Olympics. Had a bit of bad luck with that. That's why I turned pro. And with the pro game, I think it's made for me. As it's like, I know it's a business, it's a showmanship. I can put bums on the seats, I sell hundreds and hundreds of tickets. I'm a bit of a character, and I can box and I can have a war. So I'm here to just take each fight at a time and just come for all the belts, mate. Like when I'm there, mate, I'm coming for everyone. Do you know what I mean? Like you only got one chance at this game, and there's no point in messing about or just like plodding along. I want to be fast tracked and just get big fights on the go. Do you know what I mean? I want to have some entertaining fights.
What about promotional wise? I mean, you're hooked up with MTK, aren't you? What about Matchroom, Frank Warren? I mean, what's the promotional?
I think the first few months we do freelance. We go on all the TV, the Warrens and the Hearns and that. Build up my following, let people see my exposure. Do you know what I mean? With the BT Sport, the Sky Sports, and then it's whoever gives me the best offer, really. Like if Hearn's paying the big money, then you go with Hearn. Do you know what I mean? And at the moment, he's the man to go with at the moment. Do you know what I mean? So he's more likely to be with Hearn. But I just got my trust in MTK. They're doing a great job. They've got some great fighters, and they know how to manage their fighters. Do you know what I mean? They won't rush me. They'll just put everything into play and move me forward when the time's right. There's a lot of boxers, mate. They rush and they're not making the money that they should be making. So it's a dog sport, boxing, mate. It's a dog-eat-dog sport, so you've got to be clever with it.
Yeah, as an amateur, you're obviously a Great Britain standout. You're about to turn pro. What about the World Boxing Super Series? Would that be like a bridge into the professional game?
Yeah, I love that, mate. Like, I've done that. My debut, do you know what, this time last year, my debut at the World Series Boxing, and that's when I knew I'd be suited to it. I've done 5 rounds, and I fought some Ukrainian, and I stopped them in the 5th round. He boxed for Croatia, the Croatia team. He was like a transfer from Ukraine. So I broke him down, and then I took a fight on a day's notice. Rob McCracken rang me and said, can you do like the World Series debut, a World Series boxing fight? It was against Kazakhstan. And it was a day's notice. I had to lose 3 or 4 kilos. I thought, mate, I'm not even fit for this. I was suffering with injuries, but I thought, you know what? It's against world number 2, Kazakhstan. I thought I'd just take it. And do you know what? It was a close fight, mate. Like, I lost on points, but it was nip and tuck, man. Like, his ring awareness and little things, he just done better than me. But it was good. It was giving me a good confident boost, and it was a positive for me, to be honest.
Just to remind our listeners, we have Jordan Reynolds on the call at J Reynolds Boxing over on Instagram. Any other social media presences that you should be making us aware of, Jordan?
Mainly Instagram, J Reynolds Boxing, and the Twitter, Reynolds Boxing, and then just my Facebook. But yeah, it's mainly Instagram and Twitter these days, isn't it, really? No, everyone's jumping on this TikTok stuff, but I can't really get into all that, really. Instagram and Twitter, that's where I'm at.
Absolutely. Good stuff. Just moving away from the ring briefly, just before we finish up, I was looking on your Instagram earlier. Tell us about your work in Malawi, Africa.
Yeah, no, like, I thought I had a bit of downtime, right, and I've always, like, when I've had a bit of a rough childhood and things like that, I've always tried to, like, give back to where I'm from, and, do talks in care homes and schools, and try and play my part, you know what I mean? And I thought, I had a few weeks off. I thought, do you know what? I'd love to go to Africa and just like, because we will take a blind eye. Do you know what I mean? Like, we see it on TV and it's like, give £1 a month, We will take a blind eye. I want to go out there and just see what the crack is. And do you know what, mate? It just opens your eyes, and it's so much. Listen, all around the world, there's so much to be done. Do you know what I mean? But it did fill my heart when I was over there. Like seeing the kid, like me, I was seeing kids die, and mate, it's different. It's different, man. It's different. Like when you witness it, really, like it's different. Like I went to a refugee camp, mate. And your people. I'm thinking to myself, there's enough food and money in this world, mate, to help everyone out. Do you know what I mean? And it just shows that the government's corrupt over there, and they're letting their people suffer. And I just thought, do you know what? Like, I can't help everyone. Do you know what I mean? But like, me to go there, I was just trying to entertain them, and mate, I was bringing thousands of people, circling thousands of people through boxing, mate. I was just entertaining them, and because they've got nothing to do there, mate. Like, they're not educated, they've got nothing to do. So they just end up getting in trouble, and when there's nothing to do, they end up getting on the drink, and the drink over there, it's like poison, mate. And there's a lot of black magic out there, and then they get into that, and things just go downhill after that. And the little kids, they get groomed into that black magic, and you see some bad stuff there. It's crazy, but it's definitely a big eye opener for me. And I think I want to go to the Philippines next. So I just like once a year, when I can, if I can do it, I like to just try and float about and just try and do a bit of work and just help others, you know.
Do you think it sort of puts things into perspective and helps keep you grounded as well?
Yeah, definitely, mate. Like, you can, I've got good people around me anyway, and I always say that you can never forget where you're from. Do you know what I mean? Like, if it wasn't for my hard upbringing and things like that, I wouldn't be who I am. I wouldn't know the crack, and I'm just a normal lad. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think you got to keep it genuine and humble. As simple as that. Like, as soon as you start losing that, you lose yourself, and I think that's why people take a little like to me, because I've always kept it real. I'm just a normal kid. Do you know what I mean? I've got a long way to go, but I'm on a good route, and I could be somewhere else. I mean, I could be in I could be in a worse situation. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I think things like that, mate, just keep your feet on your ground, keep you humble, and mate, if you can change someone's life, do you know what I mean? Like, why not?
Yeah, well said, absolutely. Your nickname, Jordan the Wanderer, how did that come about?
I love all the old school music, 50s and things like that. And I used to love the film called The Wanderers.
Yeah.
And it's like all old school. It's a bit like not Greece, but it's a bit more old school. All the old school music and that. They will do the old dancing, and then obviously I'm one of the lads, like, we all have a bird and things like that. So everyone's like, oh mate, you just got other birds, wondering that. Obviously I've got missus now, so like, I ain't wandering around anymore. But I'm always travelling as well. Like, I've never even when I boxed for, like, I used to box for West Ham, and they used to take me 2 hours to get to, and then I went to Team GB, and it was up Sheffield. That's 2.5, 3 hours to get there. Now I've turned pro. I'm in Ireland, so I'll be in Ireland. So I'll be moving away to Ireland, and then I'll travel to America. I've never been in one spot. Even growing up, alright. Like, I've lived from house to house. You know what I mean? And I've always wondered by myself on my own, and it's paid off. Do you know what I mean? I've always just I think you've got to be a lone wolf in this game. Otherwise, you're just going to get teared down. You don't become a whole person. So, yeah, there's a big story to the name. It's not just the women. Yeah,
good stuff. I'm not much of a TV watcher, so the boys might be having me over here. They're asking me to ask you about your experience of first dates.
Oh, yeah. Do you know, I forgot about that. Someone said that the other day. If I'm honest, I thought it's more like a publicity thing for me, really. I thought I'd go in there, and it was a bit of a bad one, really, because I had a bird in there, and I went on there. But the bird popped out at me. She was a lovely girl. And I just jumped in there. I thought I'd go on there, try to get some publicity. Obviously, I thought there was a few who wanted to take me on, like take me out, come down with me, a few of them. But I thought you need to be careful, because if you go on one of these shows, right, they can edit it and make you look like an idiot. Do you know what I mean? So I thought I need to take one. I need to go on one where I just come across myself genuine, and just where I just it just shows you who I am. So I thought that's a good one to do, right? And it gets millions of views. So I thought, on that, and it was just myself, and I thought I smashed it. Like, I was nervous. Like, when it come out, the day it come out, it was the first day back up TV, and I thought, oh no. And then all the adverts were on TV, and I thought, oh mate, I want to get rinsed in the morning. Like, I want to get rinsed. But they couldn't say nothing, mate. Like, I killed it, mate. Like, man, I had like 15,000 followers overnight. People messaging me every day, you know what I mean? So like, I'll be in London, and people go, oh, I know you from somewhere. And I'm like, yeah, box here. And they go, no, you was in that TV program. I'm like, oh shit. But yeah, but it all transfers. Do you know what I mean? They look at the first dates, they see that, and then they look into the boxing, and they follow my boxing career, and then by you know it, they're buying tickets to my fights. Do you know what I mean? So.
Yeah, talking of your fights, then, who do you look up to at the moment, or more to the point, who do you enjoy watching in the world of boxing at the moment?
Do you know what? I love all the old school boxing. Me, obviously, I love you, Canelo Alvarez and things like that. But I'm more of like I like the old school fighters, Johnny Tapia, Sugar Ray Robinson, fighters like that. I kind of like Pernell Whitaker. I kind of like try and stay watching them fighters. So that, but if it's now, Canelo Alvarez is probably the man at the moment who I'm probably enjoying watching. He's some man. He's some man.
Yeah. And just finally, then, one of the guys was saying you used to work as a baggage handler in the airport.
Yeah, I think I was. So basically, I had to move out of my town. I was 17, and I went to live in Essex for a few years away from my family and that, because I was getting into a lot of trouble. And I was working over there for butchers and things like that. And then a lot of things happened. My trainer died, and I needed to move back. I had no money, so I thought, alright, I need to go to get to training and help my mum out, pay for rent and that. I need to get to a little job, so I worked at the airport for it was only like 5-6 hours a day, or at night, I was doing nights, and then I could train, but I was only for a few months, to be fair, and then I got to the England team, and then I become England captain, and then I won Team GB, but yeah, I'd do anything, mate. You got to do whatever you can to make a few quid to get by. Do you know what I mean? I've always grafted, but when you get to a certain level and you start boxing these international fighters and that, you can't work. Do you know what I mean? You got to be boxing. You got to be training full time, otherwise it just shows. So yeah.
The boys here are saying it's your birthday today.
Yeah, bro, I'm 25, mate, and normally I'd be out with the lads, but to be honest, there's nothing I can do. Do you know what I mean?
You're stuck with the likes of us instead.
I know, mate. I'm stuck in. I'm fucking. I don't know what I'm doing now. I'm thinking, what am I doing? It's my birthday. Do you know what I mean? But it's all good. I thought it's all good. I can just carry on crafting. You know what I mean? Get some media work done. Helps me out. And then I celebrate my birthday after my debut win. That's when we're having a little party, I think.
Absolutely. Well, the chat have enjoyed the call anyway. A lot of positive feedback, people wishing you well with your career. So happy birthday, and thanks very much for joining us this evening, Jordan. We really appreciate it. You spoke very well, so best of luck going forward.
No, cheers, mate. Listen, if there's anything I can do for you in the future, just give me a call, mate. You got my number now anyway. So
will certainly.
Thanks for having me.
Excellent.
Sweet, man.
Thanks very much.
Take it easy.
Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. Jordan Reynolds there, excellent talker. We got the full interview as well. Great stuff there, Ozzy. Looking forward to seeing how this fella progresses. Really nice guy. Coming on his birthday as well.
Yeah, I only realised when Andy just mentioned it then, but I always say about boxing, it can be the best sport in the world for access to fighters, trainers, managers, promoters. And I always find trying to get lads on early. You may not know everything about them, but it's a platform from where they can essentially tell us what they want. I thought he spoke really well. He's obviously got experience of doing, like media things with, from being involved with GB, and he's been on TV and stuff like that. But overall, I thought he spoke extremely well. He's clearly no mug. Competed at the top level from an amateur perspective, all bar the Olympics. Seemed to take to the sport relatively late. I think he said at 16, so he's not, got that extremely long amateur career. And the good thing what he has done as well is decided not to hang around for the Olympics, and he's turning over now rather than potentially take another 4 years, and then that'll put him at 29 then when he's potentially turning over. So spoke really well. I think I won't be the only one who's going to keep an eye out on his career now. He seemingly does the right things already. He's level-headed, speaks really well, says he can do quite a few tickets. He's signed with arguably the best management team in the game at the moment in MTK. So he's doing everything right off outside the ring. And now it'll just be on him to do it inside the ring as well. An interesting thing as well, what is interesting in what he said, that he's moving to Ireland, to start out his career. That's a big commitment, but it shows that his head's screwed on and he wants to do things the right way. I think it's easy to see, like you see a lot of boxers stay in the hometown and, you've got the hanger, like the Klingons of old mates who, they may have done dodgy stuff with back in the past and they can still drag them down because, Joe Bloggs, the boxer, has now got an aim of where he wants to be. But John Smith, who's still dossing around in wherever, if we use Chorley as an example where I'm at, will always be a nuisance. So he's biting the bullet. He's moving himself away straight away. He'll be going to Ireland from where it'll just be a case of he gets up, he trains, 2 or 3 times a day, eats well, sleeps well, starts again. As I say, he's doing everything right outside of the ring, and I'm sure he'll do everything well inside of the ring as well. So, no, one to certainly look forward to.
Yeah, well said, Ozzy. If everyone is just joining us, this is episode 368 of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. Touching every bit of wood that is available at the moment. We do seem to be going okay. Everybody seems to be able to hear us. Not sure what the problem was, possibly a Mixler problem. But like I say, we are still going at the moment. We did interview Shinny Bayar earlier. Unfortunately, that didn't go too well due to technical problems. We are going to have Shinny on, hopefully next week. Whether we're on Mixler or somewhere else, who knows at the moment. Shinny has graciously agreed to join us again next week, so thank you to him for that. Let's check in on Rapping Rob Kelly, talking about people being stuck out in the wilds of Ireland. How are you, Rob? Are you staying safe?
Be safe. Yeah, I'm doing good, man. I've had enough of it now at this stage, to be honest with you. Like, I'm good at keeping the social distance at the best of times. Like, just seek me like the fucking Scarlet Pimpernel. Like, but other than that, I've had enough of it now. Like, fucking, do you know what I mean? Stuck in the house with the missus and the kid, like, and the missus that works in healthcare, so she's gone half the week, like, but fucking hell, it's tough, like, isn't it? So, trying to watch a few fights. I caned Ricky Hatton last week for mentioning this fight with Pacquiao, and then I went and watched it last night. Watched the Sky broadcast of it. Thought, like, Pacquiao, like, obviously everything was wrong in the camp, like, but everyone thought Ricky looked in good shape coming into it. He had a bit of a Spike O'Sullivan. He had a good first 70 seconds and then just fell apart. Like, the punching power was too much. But what I would say is that he didn't fucking move his head once in the 2 rounds. He was on a straight line the whole time. And Pacquiao tried that left hook that he eventually knocked him stone cold with. I counted at least 10 times in round 2 that he threw that same shot. Like, and Ricky didn't get out of the way. So obviously there was fucking carnage in the training camp or whatever. It just wasn't to be. Big good footage of Coogan there. Coogan was his security on the night coming out. I didn't realise as well that he had done his own version of Hi-Ho Silver, or had his own version of Hi-Ho Silver made to play as his ring entrance, and it's all about him eating pasties and being fat. So I missed that on the original broadcast, and I watched Khan versus Garcia. Again, similar, like, Garcia tried that shot, like, I don't know how many times. Khan showed to me, it's easy to say this looking back, but I remember having a bet with a guy that I met at a wedding that Khan was going to get knocked out in one of his next 3 fights after the Peterson fight. The man was not having it, like, super Amir Khan fan, and he was like, why? And I was like, because he keeps pulling out and his chin is still there. It's not, he hangs his chin up in the air, and if he's going to 47, one of these guys is going to knock him out. But it actually happened at 40, and he was dazzling, Danny Garcia, but he was showing some signs of kind of, like, I thought, like, that he was feeling the power from Garcia, even though it was only on the arms and that. He started to push out, that move that he got this Dr. Point for against Lamont Peterson, that pushing and, like, just putting his elbow out a little bit. I just felt like he was after feeling something, but credit to Amir Khan, you can't fall this hard, like, you have to nail him to the canvas, literally, like. And if anything, I know a lot of people got hyped about Garcia, and it's, again, probably in retrospect easier to say, but thought he could have finished him earlier after getting him hurt, so badly. It took him a little while. He's being patient and stuff, but he's not a great finisher in the Sugar Ray Leonard sense or whatever, Garcia, when he got a guy hurt. Like, so yeah, it was good fight, and good to watch back one of the old HBO broadcasts as well. Like, so we really didn't know what we were missing until they were gone. Like.
Oh yeah, I love the old HBO days. Shout out to Gabe as well, who came on earlier on in the pod and had to shoot off. He tried to get involved. We'll maybe get him on next week. Just before we go back to you, Andy, Ozzy, we actually had a clarification or a bit of information come in during the week over on patreon.com/Boxing Asylum. Mike Wrigley said, just a quick one, a few weeks back Ozzy mentioned that he wasn't sure if there was an English title at Cruiserweight. There is, and the last fight was a cracker between champion Dion Juma and Sam Hyde in Wythenshawe, Manchester. This was Sam's second crack at the title after losing to Riakporhe back in 2018. He then threw up a little link to it.
I said I didn't know if there was an English title at Cruiserweight.
Or maybe an English champion at Cruiserweight or something that you might have said, but Mike Wrigley responded to that.
I knew Dion Juma won it because I know Steve Goodwin's been banging the drum for him for a while now. And then Sam Hyde and Joe Gallagher won the purse bid, and it took place in Wythenshawe. And it was fairly close, and Juma's now the mandatory for the British title. I don't remember saying that. I must have... fucking hell, yeah. That's bad for me, because, I did know there was one as well. Matty Askins won that belt before. So, I definitely knew. Right. Yeah, sound. I don't remember saying that, so if they can flag where, I'll definitely listen back to it. Even just to see if I'm losing my nuts or not.
Ozzy losing it on a Sunday night. Talking to people losing it, Andy, Rick Law, not him, but maybe he could lose it if we stay locked down for a bit longer. Sent in a message to me and you and Rob on Twitter earlier on today, I think it was. He's just sitting down to read this new book, Berserk, by Don Stradley, The Shocking Life and Death of Edwin Valero. A few stories on Valero you're willing to share, he said. We haven't read that book yet, Andy, but it definitely would be something that I would have on my bookshelf because Valero was one hell of a character.
Yeah, I forget the name of the publisher again, but they seem to be issuing these kind of short books and stuff, so I'll maybe need to try and get a hold of that one. Plus as well, somebody who'd actually responded to that tweet actually gave us a podcast to listen to, so maybe give him a wee shout out as well. I think it was the author of the book is on some podcast called, let me try and find it the name.
It's Jonathan Lear's podcast, I think, isn't it, Andy?
The Ring Walk podcast, he had the author on about Edmund Valero's story. So, yeah, I mean, it's something, I'll put it this way. I mean, okay, we've got a woman murdered, we've got kids probably in care, lost both parents, a lot of domestic abuse and stuff like that going on, but there's always that bit as a boxing fan, you think to yourself, what if? Because if you remember back to that era, lightweights and stuff, especially what was that, 2008, I think that was when Valero killed himself or supposedly killed himself. But if you look at kind of lightweight round about that time and stuff, you had Caceres was still kicking about. Marquez, I think, was classed as the man at the weight. Casimiro was kicking about still. Nate Campbell, Manny Pacquiao. This is at lightweight, and then obviously if there was talk of him going up to light welter, this is Valero I'm talking about. Which would have probably pulled in like say Ricky Hatton. Who else would they had there? They had probably Khan, I think, at some point. Don't know if he was late 2008, 2010. You'd have Alexander. If he would make the move up to welterweight, which I don't know if it would be a step too far. That's obviously you got Floyd, Antonio Margarito, Cotto, and all the type of fighters. I just think there's always that element of what if, because he was a savage in the ring. I mean, I was watching some training videos the day actually when that tweet came in, just as a wee reminder as to how he trained. You guys have probably been in gyms and that as well. As you go into a gym and you can see guys who are not going to be any good at boxing. They just haven't got that engine and that competitive style or that that edge about them and stuff. But then you can see the clear guy stick it a mile away who's got that engine. One bit I was listening to actually was Tris Dixon's podcast with Tony Sims, and he was talking about Darren Barker and stuff. He was talking about Darren Barker's brother. He was saying if he'd have lived, he would have been probably a far better pro than what Darren was, because he had that extra gear in him. He could kick it into gear. Same with Valero and that. Just watch him training on the bags and the mitts and stuff. He just never stopped. He was absolutely relentless, and just how he trained is how he fought. Actually, it was full bore. And at times he could box if he wanted to, but he was a guy who went in there and just absolutely wanted to destroy everything that moved. And there was one thing guaranteed in an Edwin Valero fight: Edwin by stoppage. No doubt he would have probably got picked off at some point as they were up through the weights. He always believed that Juan Manuel Marquez was a far superior fighter than what Manny Pacquiao was. Technically, at least anyway, we just say that Pacquiao was the money fight, but definitely that would have been the fight to be had. Just two come forward guys who got raw power. Generally speaking, they kind of throw the same combinations over and over again, but the work rate, the violence, especially when you talk about a Pacquiao at the time when he was at his peak, and he wasn't he was blasting through people as well. So was Valero. So it was probably our generation's version of maybe Zarate against Gomez. Other than that, mate, it was just it's a bloody shame. But again, I say I'm a bit glorifying it a bit, but you need to remember as well as there's a lot of kind of sad stuff at the back end of it all.
Certainly was. Valero is one hell of a sad story. I remember him ripping through people in Japan. He had about 19 first-round knockouts all in a row. He was an absolute monster, but out of the ring he was a complete and utter nutcase. Don't think this guy's going to reach Edwin Valero potential Aussie, but Trading Leather Boxing, who's hanging about in the chat there, said, I've decided who will become Hearn or Matchroom's new cannon fodder now. Joseph Laws, replacing Dave Allen as the banter man who sells tickets. He's some character, isn't he, this Laws fella?
Well, that's all he is, a character at the moment. Flatters to deceive. He's happy just bullying around, like bang up. Well, not even bang average, just essentially, cannon fodder that's brought over from all areas of Europe and Africa. Calling out Devin Haney, saying he'll knock Devin Haney out. I would understand, if he was, he's just flown through British level or something, and he fancies his chances. But this guy is essentially has fought two people with a positive record. One was Chris Truman, who essentially isn't that good, and the other one was against Justice Addy, and he didn't have it all his own way there over 4 rounds. I think that was on the Lewis Ritson Robbie Davis card, and it's spot on that. He sells a bucket load of tickets. He'll get to a certain level. He'll be matched extremely cautiously, and then they'll ultimately cash out on him when he gets found out. It won't strike me if he's one of these fighters that'll just get ironed out off somebody. Remember the Hassan McQueen who came over and knocked out Sam Eggington.
One time we call him.
So, someone like that, essentially a bit of a surprise package can bang, and I think he'll just get stopped. I'm not a fan of him, to be honest. I think he tries to be a bit too over-eccentric, trying to live up to the cameras and things like that. And I've no doubt he'll get found out sooner rather than later. If he does go on to the top level, fair fucks to him, but I'll be amazed if he does.
See, I don't know much about this Laws character, but see Reynolds when he was on earlier, like he has the attitude right. Like he knows that you have to play the game, but he's like, when I want to fight everybody, I want to be in good fights, I want to train hard, do you know what I mean? He's making all the right noises, and you have to realize fighters' lifespan as a fighter is so short. Very few fighters get over 10 years in the game at a high level, and with winning records, it's a tough sport. Like, so your time in it, he's right, is like you can't hang around for anyone. Like, so fellas get caught up these days, I think, too much in the other side of it rather than focusing on the fighting. Like, you hear him, he's talking about watching Tapia and Robinson and all these kind of. It's refreshing to hear from a young fighter, because a lot of them are going down this fucking YouTube banter route, like, and it's unbearable for older school fight fans and new school fight fans. You just want to see good fights. You don't want to hear all this shit from all these fellas, especially if they've done fuck all. Like, so, just my opinion. Actually made me think. Fighters that were on dating shows. So you got Reynolds, who was on First Dates. Here's a boxing nerd one for you. You've got Tommy Fury, who was on Love Island.
Oh, Love Island, yeah. And Deco Garrity was on Take Me Out before he was a pro in Ireland. Was he?
Yeah. And the girl, they all left their lights on for him, and he took out some model, and they said to him afterwards, "How did you get on the date?" He goes, "She was nothing special." Probably one of his better performances, that one, Deco, actually.
I tell you what, though. It was pretty thingy, pretty switched on. He even said himself, I just did it for publicity. But it's little things like that, appearing on, like quirky TV shows and stuff. You can, just building a profile in one way or the other. But as you said, Rob, he does it the right way. He does he came across extremely well then, and he's like watching the right fights and things like that. And he's not calling anyone out set straight away. Unlike Laws, who, like I said, he's 10-0 for pretty much all puddings, and he's now calling out Devin Haney. Who is he now the WBC World Champion again, the 2-time email champion, as he's now asked for his belt back. So I think he's been awarded that. So I think he's the 2-time email WBC champion, which, from memory, I think he must be the first fighter to win his belt twice via the internet, unless anyone else can think of that.
Quigg got one internet victory, didn't he? But not two.
He did. But not two, so yeah. So
Cleverly. He got one.
One, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Nicola Adams got one. Zalani Tete got one. All via the email, but no one's touching Haney's 2-time email
Alex
champion.
Arthur.
Yeah, that's what I mean. No one twice though, from memory.
Not yet, anyway, not yet. And a question came in for you from Jack Nolte over on the Facebook page. He said, which boxer's career and legacy was most affected by being avoided? For example, Guillermo Rigondeaux. So which boxer's career and legacy was most affected by being avoided? For example, Guillermo Rigondeaux. Well, I mean, the first that come to my mind was Golovkin was badly avoided, but has it affected his career and legacy? And then obviously going back in time, the likes, I mean, this is a completely different situation. You're talking the likes of Sam Langford and all that, aren't you?
Yeah, go back. I mean, when you were talking there, I was going to mention Harry Grebner. I know he's got his own legacy and stuff, but he chased that Jack Dempsey match for fucking years. And that was one kind of, champion who kind of sat in his title for a fair. But I was just trying to think, their legacy was affected by fights that never got made.
I've got a different one here. But more from, I'm going to say Kell Brook. But because he chased one particular fight and ended up knocking back so many others in, following on from that. I think ultimately, because he was so focused on one fight, and you can argue that Khan didn't want it or was essentially just always stringing him along, it then ruined Kell Brook's career because he was so fixated on fighting Amir Khan. He passed up so many other opportunities and then just fought, tin can mandatories. You look back at it now and everybody, whether you like Brook or not, is in agreement that his career is such, talent wasted and could have been so much more, when in reality he's got one good win and one standout fight, and after that, not much else from that perspective. I agree on Golovkin as well. A lot of people look back and say he didn't have those top wins, which I counter that argument and say he's beaten everybody possible, bar Canelo. And even then, I think it's fair to say he did win the first fight, but he was still, it still took him a number of years, probably additionally than expected, to get those bigger fights, and that was when he really had.
Well, he did, yeah. He definitely, he could have had, I don't know, if in terms of his legacy, you probably would have expected him to beat Sergio Martinez, and you would have expected him to beat Cotto, but he never got the chance to fucking do it, because the two of them were you remember Cotto famously said when Kellerman said, "You're WBC champion," or whatever, "Do I look like a middleweight, Max?" He's like, fuck this. I'm not hanging around for that. So, yeah, pity for Golovkin that he didn't get his marquee fight, or his marquee win, rather. He's never really had his marquee win, has he? He's beaten everybody he could possibly beat, but he never had that, kind of, definitive one.
I've got two, Steve. I'm just sitting racking my brain and stuff, so just looking through some old notes and that. So probably Harry Wills, who got ducked off Jack Dempsey for drawing the colour line. Wills is one of the great black heavyweights back in the day who never got his shot. The other one, actually, this was mere circumstance. Remember, I don't know if you remember him. We were talking about a Punches for the Pass episode. It might have been Bob Foster, actually. And the Peruvian fighter came up, Mauro Mina, 1960s or whatever it was, and he beat Eddie Cotton in a 10-round decision in Peru, which made him the number one contender to fight Harold Johnson for the title, only to discover afterwards he had a detached retina and was forced to retire, so never got his title shot. Ended something like 58 fights with only 3 defeats and 3 draws or whatever and that.
One career that was defined from being messed about. It wasn't a huge career, but we mentioned this guy quite regularly on the pod. Jose Alusagan. He won a eliminator, didn't he? And Frank Maloney kept him on the shelf, as he did with a lot of fighters. He couldn't get that shot for whatever reason. Eventually, a year later, they stuck him in with Lucas Matisse, who banged him out. Matisse, who never banged anybody out towards the end of the career, when the testing became more prevalent. Anyway, sorry, Andy, go ahead.
What about, I was going to say Billy Joe Saunders there, but what about Paul Williams?
Paul Williams. Well, yeah, I suppose.
I mean, he never really got that. I mean, he got a gift decision of sorts against Martinez the first fight, as we mentioned last week, and then he gets iced in the rematch. It's, again, another one who never really got the big name to get yourself over the top. Chase Floyd. Yeah. So I think, how
many years did Hagler have to chase down people? But I mean, eventually he obviously rectified it and went on a huge run. But he was messed about for a long time as well.
They had to go to court for him.
Lara called out for a lot of fights too, didn't he? I mean, Lara was looking for Golovkin, and everyone was like, "Well, it's insane trying to fight Golovkin," but then Golovkin fought Kell Brook, like, so Lara probably would have been a better opponent. But
Yep, some good shouts, boys. Let's move on. Did you have any others, sorry, to throw in there, Andy?
I was just going to mention that Hagler, did he not have to go to court or something? I remember Bob Arum mentioning something that he had to go to court and try and force his world title shot through. Was that not before? Was it the Antifermo fight and it ended up a draw or something?
He got a draw, didn't he? So he got messed about for another year.
Yeah, that's what it was. And they ended up I don't think the rematch happened, but he ended up smashing Al Minter, I think it was, in London with all the bottles.
He went to Minter and, yep, that's right, yeah.
That's it.
Absolutely.
The Rigondeau's a perfect example as well that the listener gave. Like, Jesus Christ, you get three world champions moving up weight divisions in order to not fight him. It has to be said. Like, fuck me. Frampton ducked him, Quigg ducked him, and Leo Santa Cruz ducked him as well. Like,
Santa Cruz.
Openly.
See, Santa Cruz's duck was the best ever by a straight face. The guy asked him, how much would it cost you? How much would it take you to fight Rigondeaux? And he went like that. $3 million. Straight faced. I'm like, dude, are you fucking serious?
Rigondeaux's not generating fucking $3 million. Like, if he's fucking loaded with a fucking dynamite vest or something that's gonna go off, like, fucking, you know what I mean? That he has to throw a punch before the fucking vest goes off. Like, he's not worth $3 million. Like.
Right, some good ones thrown in there, boys. Let's move on. Rob, question for you came in on the Facebook page from Connor Brennan. We have asked questions in the past along these lines, but Connor is saying, Rob, is there a possible silver lining with the virus for boxing fans, in that apart from the guys at the very top of the tree, like Canelo and so on, that everybody else will be forced to fight against stiff opposition almost immediately when the virus abates? Connor goes on, Rob, they each have big mortgages to pay and won't be accommodated by promoters taking easy touches. I reckon every fighter from Danny Garcia down on the money scale will have to fight in wars straight off the bat. What do you think, Rob?
I think in theory that sounds great, but you know, promoters, like, and I think as soon as they get back to business as usual, it will be business as usual. I think we're wishful thinking, hoping that this Fury Joshua thing could get made now, once the virus is over or whatever. Like, I can't see, like, you're all of a sudden Matchroom throwing all the fucking prospects in against killers, and the same for Uncle Al or Bob Arum for that matter, like another selective matchmaker. I think it's going to be very hard for the fighters to be fucking match fit. Like, Reynolds is talking about he's training and he only needs a bit of sparring, but I bet a lot of fighters are fucking sitting this one out like the rest of us, reaching for cans of Budweiser on a fucking Saturday, Easter Saturday. You know what I mean? It's you know, Premier League footballers, athletes, how are they going to get back to fucking match fitness in such a short time? Like, I think, you know, fighters need 12 weeks or whatever, so, but like, you have to be taken over. So yeah, it's going to be tough for all the athletes to get back to business. But in theory, Conor, yes, it's nice to think that we're going to have nothing but super fights for the second half of 2020 to make up for the coronavirus, but I wouldn't bet the fucking mortgage on it.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be super fights. I think it's going to start to it's not going to be a drip to the end of 2020, and it'll be the beginning of 2021.
And we'll be just so happy to have fights back. They'll know we'll just be so happy to see fucking fights on the television again that they'll put up any old shite. Like,
I don't think we'll see massive fights, but I think we'll see deeper cards. So I think we'll see more competitive stuff, but just at lesser levels. So we might see more English titles, or just, you know, 50-50s without a belt on the line, being topped by, like, potential, you know, like whatever bauble belts for the WBA, WBO, Europeans, things like that. I think we'll see more of that and more complete cards rather than, say, a bigger fight at the top, then a remotely half decent chief support, and then trash underneath that. I think cash will be tight, so they'll look to utilise it throughout the card rather than not. Whereas it's not just going to be ploughed into the main event and the rest just does itself, because they've still got to sell tickets. So I still insist on this, that they keep talking about these, shows in empty arenas and stuff. I don't see that happening, and the ticket sales I think will be quite reliant. So they're going to have to put on more complete cards, regardless of the level, rather than spunking all the money away, in overpaying to average heavyweights or something like that.
Another question come in here over on patreon.com/Boxing Asylum from Matt Dobson. I'm going to open it up to anybody on the panel who wants to comment, because I'm not really the expert. Well, I'm not really the expert in anything, but especially not this anyway. Slow news week, said Matt earlier on in the week, so I thought I'd ask your thoughts on the fact that Dana White has pulled off with the UFC this week. A private island specifically set up to stage UFC shows, and as of next week, the UFC is back to putting on events. Personally, I think it's a masterstroke. Seeing Eduardo raging about it really confirmed this. It's the biggest, only event in sports right now. If they pull it off, boxing could do something similar. Matt then went on to say, Andy, my above comment aged like gone off milk, with the governor of California snitching to Disney and calling the show off. Fair play to Dana for trying. Anybody want to mention anything about this? Obviously Matt has qualified that.
Yeah, but then it was old Indian tribal territory or whatever it was, and managed to get something there, but in the end Disney and another TV station used their power and just basically said that's not happening and stuff. But he's still trying for what I seen something this morning, I think it was, saying he's still trying to get something arranged, but whereabouts I don't know. I mean, Christ, he'll probably need to go out to like the Marshall Islands or some fucking place like that out and, fucking hell, the place is radioactive still. The fucking place is radioactive.
Montserrat.
Montserrat and that, aye.
Montserrat, yeah.
Jesus Christ, or maybe go to Vesuvius or something like that, I don't know. He's trying to get something going in that. Obviously he's got to make money somewhere in that, but the whole world is in the middle of a fucking pandemic, and this Montard's going about trying to get fucking cards put on. I seen was it one of the female fighters who pulled off the card? Just calm your fucking jets, man. Look, nothing's happening. Go to Belarus, for example, if you want to hold a fight or whatever. You'll get in there, no problem. But he's going to find that.
I'm not mad at it altogether, though. I don't think. I think it's a fucking. I mean, look, if the fighters all test negative for whatever they're test negative for something to be at first, but if they all test negative for COVID and everyone's in a controlled environment and they fucking have health staff and all on board, like, what the fuck about it? Like,
all I was going to say is the UFC got its actual in-house kind of TV studio with an octagon and stuff like that? Could they not hold it there? For example, we just have the two fighters on there and a referee with a fucking all.
But then they wouldn't. They probably can't get the license to do it there because of fucking laws passed for essential work or whatever. Right. And he's probably looking for a remote fucking job, because I think they suggested that first, like, and then that's shot down. But he's bought credit to him. He's losing money and he's trying to get it back. Like, so fucking fair ball to him. Like, but yeah, I don't know. Eddie was criticising it, but you bet Eddie would have done it himself.
Oh,
he had a fucking.
He was raging. Yeah. He was raging. He never thought about it.
He's just annoyed because he didn't think of it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say is you tend to think, not just in boxing, but you think right across sports, when it comes to contract renewal time, especially these guys who got guaranteed contracts and stuff. Surely it's going to reset the market. Surely can. I mean, they're talking about. I seen something recently about Harry Kane going to, was it Barcelona or Real Madrid or whatever, 200 million quid. Seriously, 200 million quid after what the fucking shit just went down recently. The amount of money is getting tanked across all economies, and you still want to spend 200 million pound on a fucking football player who's like, what, 27, 28-year-old who's got biscuit fucking ankles now? What the fuck is going on here?
I think we'll see smaller purses, personally. I think the one bonus that we'll see out of it is that I think it's going to be a leveler on this big money spending, because I think all promoters and TV platforms are going to be in the same boat, and they're probably not going to immediately plough cash into the sport when it's still, I think until all the cases go with this coronavirus, there's still going to be a potential, that it could come back. So I personally see that they'll be quite tentative on the purses, and then it will reset and take a bit of time for them to get back up to where they are at the moment. But that's not a bad thing, because the fighters that then try and price themselves out will just get found out, and they'll just be tossed to the back of the queue, because there'll be other fighters queuing up for opportunities, and will probably take a chance rather than just, I'll fight, some tin can on whatever, PBC, Sky, BT, and still get my usual purse, regardless of the opponent. So I certainly think it's going to have an impact on purses, which in turn might mean you may not see the biggest fight mates made immediately, but I still think we could see them made in the not so near future. I wouldn't be shocked if Spence Crawford is the first biggie we see. I'm not sure what you lot think, but I think I've got this weird feeling that may happen, and that wouldn't surprise me if it did. Not thinking this year, but early next year. I wouldn't be shocked.
I agree, Ozzy. I agree, because if you think about it, right, Crawford needs a standout name, he needs a standout win, he needs a big payday. They're going to have to keep guaranteeing in these paydays. Plus, he's not getting any younger. Spence could be done. He could come back and look like complete dog shit, so I wouldn't be surprised whether they didn't make that.
We don't know where Spence is at either, but the other thing I was thinking as well, guys, is, these fighters, obviously, conceivably, we're not going to have any live event with supporters or fans this year. I don't think so, right? But think about fighters who are getting older, guys like Spence. We don't know where he's at. Then you've got the situation with fighters trying to maintain weight, guys who are basically kind of like just slightly struggling to make the weight anymore, and that is sitting on the PBC fighters don't fight often enough anyway, so they could be, some of the fighters could be out the ring for 18, 2 years, so to speak. And if they're struggling to make the weight as well, they could be forced to move up. And Spence himself isn't a great discipline. He lost 25 pounds for that Garcia fight. 25 pounds. This is a guy who's welterweight. That's unsustainable. Not a 31-year-old.
He's at light heavyweight there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's coming down from light heavy to welterweight. We're talking like Kell Brook stuff there, from where he ballooned up to probably light heavyweight, cruiserweight type of thing, and then had to boil down. And as you say, Andy, the body just can't take it when you're coming down. You're shedding so much constantly at a championship level. There's only so many times you can do it, and if you're spending 4 weeks, 5 weeks in camp just taking weight off alone, that is not going to do you any favours.
No, that's when you rely on your natural physical abilities, or your boxing IQ, because guys like Cotto at 140 was the same. He trained simply to make weight. I'm seeing Broner, baby fucking G's coming out saying that he can make 135. He was 120% dedicated. That ship has fucking sailed, brother. You ain't making 135 again. I'll tell you what, if you make 135, I will personally donate money to his kids' fucking foundations to get them through college, because daddy's not going to have enough money to fucking pay for it. So I'll do it. If he makes 135 again, I'll give each one of his kids some money for fucking college tuition or whatever. And that.
Through the app. What's that app that he uses? He always asks for money.
Oh, it was at the Cash App.
Oh,
yeah, Cash App, baby.
The Cash App. Ready to go.
Andy sliding into Cash App.
135. 135. He'd need a fucking time machine to get to 135.
So it says, I've got that on record. That's what was there was 8 kids last count, I think it was. Could be 10 by now, like, we consider that fucker. No, I could be well out of pocket here. I could be well out of pocket.
Well, Andy, AB might turn up in the Belly of the Weeks, which is coming up shortly on episode 368. We love a bit of AB. You might have preempted one of the nominations. We'll be getting onto that shortly. Andy's still with us, thankfully. So is Ozzy, so is Rob. Everybody can still hear us. We do have a WBA champion or serial killer sent in by Mihal Reedy. I might get to that tonight, or I might get to it next week. In the meantime, this is the final thing that I have to offer. I did threaten it last week, and we are sort of getting into desperate territories. And I haven't seen anything of that EWBSS contest tournament. I'm not really sure what it's all about, but I was listening to a darts podcast during the week, and it got me thinking and led me to this idea, boys, so bear with me, just for a bit of fun here. We're going to have a panel tournament starting with heavyweight. Not the best heavyweight fighters of all time, but I have picked 8 heavyweight fighters, and we've thrown them in to 4 different separate quarterfinals. Just a bit of a shit idea, just for a laugh, get people talking. So this is the way it's going to work, boys, okay? Hopefully you're all ready now. I'm going to name give you 2 fighters, and what you have to do, you have 2 minutes from the moment that I mention the fighters, to try and work out who you think would have won between the 2 of them, using any criteria that you wish. So you can come up with, I don't know, maybe one was a bigger puncher, the other one had a good jab, stamina, who they beat during their career, any criteria whatsoever you can use. So for example, hopefully everybody's still with me here, if I were to say to you, Andy, Tommy Morrison versus Dillian White, go, and then you've got 2 minutes to quickly weigh that one up. Tommy Morrison against Dillian White, who would have won that fight? Well, you know, Dillian, he's got a good chin, hasn't he? Bit of a left hook. Tommy Morrison was a puncher, blah blah blah. So hopefully everybody gets the idea, everybody on board with this then, and I'll throw a fight at you, and you've got 2 minutes to come up with who you think would have won. Thinking out loud, straight off the bat, no research required, because you ain't going to get no time anyway. So the first person, I'm going to come to you, Rob, quarterfinal number 1 of this heavyweight tournament. Are you ready, Rob?
Breathless with anticipation.
Are you ready, Rob?
Oh, born ready, as you can tell.
You ready? You're a boxing expert, so you have no problem with this. So don't worry, I'm not going back to Harry Greb or Jack Johnson or anything like that. You should be able. So the first things that come into your mind, I've got the stopwatch ready. You've got 2 minutes, quarterfinal number 1, Rob. Lennox Lewis against Larry Holmes. Lennox Lewis against Larry Holmes, go.
Larry Holmes, depends what version of Lennox Lewis, because Lennox is obviously much bigger than Larry
always
Holmes.
Prime, Rob, sorry, it's always every prime version unless mentioned.
Yeah, no, Larry Holmes is something serious. I think he could have, I don't know, be interested to fight, but I imagine towards Larry Holmes on points just off the jab.
You cut out there, Rob, so it's a battle of the jabs. Lennox had an excellent jab, but you think that Larry would have took it, yeah?
Put it this way, I think Larry would have beat both the Klitschko brothers, and at that, I think he'd probably beat Lennox Lewis as well. So Larry Holmes is a very difficult fighter to pick against, and is probably heavyweight one of the greatest ever. So you give Holmes the edge there on that one.
It doesn't matter, obviously, about method of victory, but just out of interest, how do you think it would have gone?
I think he would have outpointed him. I think he just would have stuck the jab in his face all night. I think Lennox would have got tired. A bit frustrated, but he would have had moments of success as well. But I think I fancy Holmes. I think Holmes is one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. I think he was that good. He's so underrated. He came after the Muhammad Ali era. He never really stood a chance. He never really had the same level of opposition to perform against either rivalries that made Ali a superstar and a person. You just couldn't follow that, but as a fighter he was fucking tremendous. Larry Holmes, brilliant.
There we go, Larry Holmes then. Let's stop it right there. Larry Holmes has gone from quarterfinal number 1, he's gone right through. Quarterfinal number 2 then, Andy. We have the same for you, same rules, 2 minutes. Anything off the top of the head? Rob did a great job there. So we are going with Mike Tyson versus first career George Foreman. Mike Tyson versus the George Foreman that battered Joe Frazier. Go.
I'm going to say Mike Tyson, because slipping and jabbing into mid distance and then straight inside, working the body. Could get caught probably coming in as well with George's uppercut as well. But I think prime for prime, I think Foreman hadn't even went 10 rounds until well into his career. I think it was even the second half of his career actually before he went 10 rounds. It was Gregor Peralta, but either that, I'm going to say Tyson probably wins on points, works the body, rips the body, uppercuts and that as well, but George will probably tie him up. Probably even have his own successes with his power shots, but I would expect Tyson to ride it. It wasn't like anything like he was in his latter half of his career when he just kind of like bailed on fights and stuff. Back in that day, he was a destroyer, and I'm expecting him to fight up and get through it. So I'm going to say Tyson on points.
Tyson on points, there we go. Thanks to Andy. Let's just stop the timer right there and release George Foreman from the game. So we've got Larry Holmes and Mike Tyson. Now, it's not as clear cut as you think, because I will be mixing them up for the semi-finals, which we'll be going on to very shortly. Quarter-final number 3, Aussie. Nice one for you here. Who would have won quarter-final number 3? Prime for prime, remember, it's always the prime version unless otherwise stated. Vladimir Klitschko against Evander Holyfield, Aussie. Vladimir Klitschko against Evander Holyfield. You have 2 minutes if you need it from now.
I am going to go with Vladimir. I think on his day, jab. Obviously, he'll have what's his name? Trainer in the corner.
Emmanuel Stewart.
Yeah, he'll have Manny Stewart in the corner, which I think was a massive loss for him. He has power, natural big guy as well, experienced, setbacks earlier on his career. I don't think he has the worst chin of the lot compared to what people say, and I think his boxing IQ would probably see him out later down the line. He'd take a points win. I don't think he'd stop him, but I think he'd take a points win personally.
Points win for Vladimir Klitschko. Let's stop.
It's a tough one to call, but I would probably side with Klitschko personally.
50-50.
He'd grab hold of Holyfield, wouldn't he, Andy? You'd think he'd grab hold of him.
I would say so. I mean, as well. I mean, you would think Holyfield's best option would be to work on the inside, but with the arms and stuff, the Klitschko's, he would try and kind of like keep him at kind of mid distance, or length his arms, or tie him up and hold behind the head and that. But that's when Holyfield's going to try and punch at the same time. And I think back to the Riddick Bowe fights, the problems he had with Bowe sometimes with his jab and that. And Bowe was a really good infighter for such a big dude, and Klitschko's nothing like that. Klitschko's methodical, he's mechanical, he's jab, right hand, hold, and I would think that would be a problem for Holyfield and that. But no mean to say he couldn't get through, and because you need to remember as well, the Foreman fight, okay, Foreman was past his prime and that, but he worked Foreman pretty good. And that was the kind of stationary target he was working on there as well, but it's nothing compared to Klitschko with his jab and holding things and stuff. You never know, though.
Vladimir Klitschko goes through from quarter-final number 3. I know it's a bit shit, but we have to do something, don't we? The boys in the chat seem to be enjoying it. Just a bit of fun. Hopefully we'll warm up into this. Maybe do the cruiserweights next week, light heavyweights, who knows. Quarter-final number 4 then, Rob. Who will join Vladimir Klitschko, Mike Tyson and Larry Holmes in the semis? Quarter-final number 4 is between Riddick Bowe, Rob, and Tyson Fury. Riddick Bowe versus Tyson Fury. Go.
Wow, there's a fight. Fucking hell, man. Jesus Christ. I'm gonna... Fucking hell. That version of Riddick Bowe, that beat Evander Holyfield.
Monster.
Overhand right. Just go box a bit. He was very, very good. I don't know. Gypsy King, you might think, though, at a fella for his size, it's hard to root against anyone. I'm going to edge the Gypsy King on a points decision over Riddick Bowe for the crack. Fuck it, I'm going to say Riddick does frustrated chasing him, and Fury just ties him up and moves away from him all night and nicks it on him. Hard one, though. That's a very hard one.
Very good. Not what I expected there. Anybody else want to weigh in on that one just quickly before we go on to the semis? I'm a big Bowe fan, as you know, but yeah, you could see Fury frustrating him, couldn't you?
You could.
I would have gone with Fury.
You could see that. You're talking about a game. If we're talking like the absolute prime versions, I wouldn't expect Fury to be as aggressive like he was with Wilder. So you could see him box it on the back foot, jab, hold, just move about, double feint him and stuff like that. And again, because Bowe was a great fighter, but on the inside, man, it was absolutely something else on the inside. I just don't think Fury would let him get there, or if he did get there, he wouldn't be able to do much. I don't think anyway. But I would probably side with Fury on points.
You as well, Ozzy, yeah?
Yeah, I agree with Fury as well.
Okay, Andy, let's slide on to you in the semi-finals then. We have Larry Holmes, Mike Tyson, Tyson Fury and Vladimir Klitschko. I'm putting them into a little app thing here to try and mix them up so it's not as clear-cut as we think. So we have Mike Tyson coming out first against Vladimir Klitschko, semi-final number 1, Andy. Mike Tyson against Vladimir Klitschko.
Yeah, I think if Tyson would get to him at some point. Again, he might have problems trying to get on the inside. With obviously with the long reach, but I could see Fury because as I say, is that Vlad's so mechanical and so basic as such. I could see Tyson working the angles, moving to the side, and ripping shots up the middles and stuff, uppercuts and stuff once he got on the inside. But he would have issues, I think, getting there at times. But if he sets a decent pace, I think he would get Klitschko, and he would get him probably around about the 8 rounds. I would say Tyson would probably knock him out. I'm going to say Tyson TKO 9.
I think that's spot on. Wouldn't disagree with that at all. He'd get to that chin eventually, Andy, wouldn't he? He'd not intimidate Vlad, but he just that big punch coming.
Yeah, I could see it's just the big punch bit as well. Was he was good at slipping jabs and that, and you think everything was set up off Vlad's jab. Jab, right hand, and at his peak, the left hook was a devastating shot as well. But the main thing of Vlad's game was the jab, and if Tyson, with his head movement and his ability to slip punches, I think he would rip that body to shreds, man. Just punch slabs of meat off him, and in the end probably kind of get him up the middle and probably stop him, as I say. But yeah, I could see Tyson doing that pretty easily. But what I'm saying is I could see Tyson doing it. Yeah,
the boys are summing it up in the chat. Vlad would fight scared. He would not scared, but just the way he was, he'd be tentative, wouldn't he? Trying to grab him at every opportunity and burning a lot of physical and mental energy.
Yep, definitely, mate. I agree with that. It's just as you say, it's just the thing that Golovkin did as well. I know we're jumping weights and that, but Golovkin can put pressure on you without throwing punches, just simply boxing the ring off.
Yeah.
Tyson with his foot movement and stuff at his absolute peak was incredible, and you can see him even at this age, doing me videos that showing people what you can do and stuff, or teaching them and that. He's still fucking frightening when he gets to the side and starts letting his hands go and that. I'm like, fuck that. 54-year-old. He'd still be banging people about, I would think.
Certainly would be. Mike Tyson has gone into the final then. Who will meet him, Ozzy? Will it be Larry Holmes or Tyson Fury? Who will meet Mike Tyson in the final? Larry Holmes or Tyson Fury? You have up to 2 minutes. Go ahead now.
This is difficult, but I would probably go with...
It's tough, isn't it? MB in the chat says I'd say Larry.
I was
being honest.
I'd probably say Larry Holmes. Yeah. It's difficult. I weirdly don't like backing against Fury because I think his movement can pose problems for a hell of a lot of people. But then there's no one really a caliber on the level of Holmes. But I would probably side with that. Mainly, I think it'd be very close. I don't think it'd be the most entertaining sort of fight either, particularly if they both go on. Holmes would be looking to utilise that jab. Fury would probably be on the back foot. I don't see him planting his feet, and standing in a pocket looking to trade there. And I would probably say, it's tough. I would probably edge with Holmes, but I'm not saying that with any confidence whatsoever.
I'm trying to think of a fighter that Holmes fought that resembled anything like Fury style.
He was so big, yeah.
Yeah.
There's no one though.
There's nobody that big. But the only person I can think of boxing skill wise, and again this is a long bit. Michael Spinks was a good boxer. It wasn't exciting to watch and stuff, but size wise, it was
Spinks. I think definitely lost that first one, but he definitely
he won the rematch.
Showed like it was a close fight. Yeah. And I remember Holmes remarking afterwards that it wasn't his speed that caused him a problem. It was how cute he was. It was his trickiness. So it wasn't the speed that was getting to him. It was the movements that Spinks was making. So if you think of like a bigger version with Tyson Fury, it's hard because obviously
Cooney was 6'6".
I was going to say Cooney actually, yeah.
But again, he was the great white hope, wasn't he?
Yeah,
well, that's
exactly. And it's like
from what Rob said, it's going to be the movement. That's what Fury can do. That is the movement that he has shown, and that poses problems for anybody. So. It's tough. I think that's very hard to call that. I think you've got a genuine argument for in the Tyson Klitschko fight, from where you can see a genuine outcome with Tyson, landing one of the big bombs. But I think this one's just a bit more difficult to call.
The other thing with Larry Holmes and that as well. See if he got hurt, man. He was a great instinct fighter. He could fight back instantly, and he had balls, man. I mean, he went deep. I remember I need to remember what fight it was, but it was during one fight actually he was badly hurt. It might be Ernie Shavers, I'm not sure. But
Shavers.
He vomited. The fucking round ended, and he went back to his stool and literally projectile vomited across the ring as he was walking back to his stool. Sat down, took a drink, and got back up and fought on. It was just something that I've never seen it before or since. Actually, somebody vomit like that and then get back up and get on with it. Just that guy, man. His recovery was incredible. Absolute incredible fighter, man. I mean, that fight against Ken Norton for the title, 15th round, man. It was just one of the best rounds you'll ever see.
Brilliant. It was great. So, yeah, isn't it interesting though, Tyson Fury, his size and his awkwardness always keeps him in the argument, because we often go on about fighters of the past and sometimes we look back with sepia tinted glasses, but isn't it interesting how Fury has held his own amongst these names, and you're only narrowly arguing against him?
The one thing we've seen as well is that he can take a shot off arguably one of the biggest punches in the heavyweight division ever. So it's not as if he's got this golden chip. We've seen himself that he can get up off a big shot and continue to fight. Okay, Wilder's not, it's not the technically great and stuff. But in terms of we've seen him pretty much. I can't remember the last. I've never seen Tyson Fury even. Someone's just said it then. We've never really seen Fury troubled. In terms of really. Like losing round after round after round. Yeah, he took a big shot in the.
I would say the cut against Wallen was.
Sorry, yeah.
I saw him hurt briefly against Nikolai Firth the once, but like you say, it wasn't a sustained thing. It was just a hurt for a minute or two and then back again.
Yeah. I mean, look, we've seen him dropped, but he gets up, and we've never seen him really hurt, have we? He gets up and he's got Bambi legs and things like that. He took a big shot off Steve Cunningham. Got straight back up. I mean, you can arguably say in Fury's career, there's been one fight which is a glaring, rogue on the on his record, and that is the Big John fight, the Big John McDermott
Big John,
fight.
Yeah.
From where you can argue he got beat. But I mean, we're talking there. We're not talking really we're talking a very young fighter there. What is he, 9 fights in and things like that. But in terms of overall, in terms of like real trouble, I don't think he's really been in.
Pajkic hurt him, didn't they? Nevin Pajkic dropped him, I think, in Manchester.
I think I don't remember the fight in terms of the full fight. I remember seeing him get dropped and things like that.
Cunningham dropped him as well, didn't he? But I don't
I
think
said about Cunningham, yeah.
Sorry,
but I thought he got up.
Two of those fights, though, he had no fucking Peter Fury with him, and the Pike is when he's looking out of the ring and all that, he was talking to the crowd and all that, like he was at it. Fury was back in the days.
I thought when he got dropped off Cunningham, I thought he was okay when he got up. I don't remember him being badly hurt there, and he was struggling. I thought he was okay against Cunningham. Yeah, it was a big shot, but he got straight back up.
It was a shot he saw coming as well, which made it a little bit easier to ride.
No real issue, yeah. Like I said, he's not got up. Like when Joshua, he got clocked off Dillian White. He was in trouble there, and if White had held his bearings and took a breather, he could well have caused more damage. But when we've not seen Fury, we've seen him get dropped. He's probably been dropped 4 or 5 times, but he's never got back up and stumbled into a corner or things like that. Like we said, he took a shot off the biggest puncher arguably in the heavyweight division ever, got back up, boxed to win the round. So that's what I mean by it. He's never, he's not really battled through, like a 6 after being dropped 60 seconds, being overwhelmed and things like that, and he's somehow battled through to the end of the round. We've never seen him, really hurt like that. Yes, we've seen him drop, but not from where it's
great powers of recovery. So, for example, if you look at the Ortiz fight for Wilder when he got hurt, he was kind of like wobbly for a good 3 rounds, 4 rounds. Same against when Fury had him in the rematch. That he never really recovered after that first knockdown. So if you, no doubt Fury's been hurt. Okay, we can say that, but he's probably covered that up well. But what I'm saying is when he gets dropped. You mentioned the Cunningham fight, for example. When he gets up, he doesn't looked like he's physically absolutely. I mean, as you say, he got fucking dropped, knocked out apparently against the Wilder, gets up.
Yeah.
And goes on the front foot.
Yeah,
He looked like I won the round. It looked like there was nothing wrong with him. So it's either good recovery, great chin, just the inner steel, shall we say. But no, I just think he's good at hiding it, good at covering it up, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, let's finish our tournament off then. Rapping Rob Kelly, you've got the final. If only we knew how this fight would go. Obviously, we're talking prime for prime and not the versions that went into the ring back in the 80s. Mike Tyson against Larry Holmes is our final. Rob, go ahead.
Fuck. I'm going to say Holmes again, dude. I think Tyson even said it after he knocked out Larry Holmes that if he was in his prime, he would have stood a chance. So I'm going to take Tyson's word for it and give it to Larry Holmes. I think he just would have beaten him. I think he would have done what Buster did to him. I think he would have stuck it out. I don't think he would have been intimidated by him, and I think he would have took over in the second half of the fight. Let's not forget, prime for prime, Larry Holmes is a 15-round fighter as well, and Tyson had gone in his prime 12 rounds, I think twice, Bone Crusher Smith and Tony Tucker, and both of them gave him trouble as well. Not trouble, but they were both scared stiff and they went into survival mode, but I don't think Holmes would have done that. I think he would have outworked him and took him over in the second half of the fight and maybe stopped him a la Buster Douglas late on.
I would probably go with that as well, actually, because I always think back when you think about Larry Holmes fighting power punchers and that, go back and watch any Shavers fight. Holmes got dropped in that fight and he got fucking slapped on his back. I mean, it was what a right hand it was, man. I'm kidding you not. Any other fighter apart from him and Ali, I would think, would not have survived that shot. Zero chance. And he get up and he survived the round. He was dominating the fight until that right hand landed and finally got to Shavers' name.
Yeah, Hamid.
It's always kind of classes, maybe having a kind of soft chin. That was a rematch I'm talking about, by the way. But he was, as I say, great power hitter, and again, power's recovery for Larry Holmes and stuff was probably on the levels of what Tyson Fury's been shown recently in that as well. He got up, dusted himself down, and went straight to work and stuff. So yeah, I would probably say Larry Holmes. But is this 15 or 12 rounds, Steve? So if we're talking 15 rounds, I could see Holmes getting to him late, possibly.
Definitely 15. Yeah, definitely. I would say, Andy. Yeah, absolutely.
I'll say Holmes when he gets to him late. I'll say TKO 13 for Holmes.
He'd dog it out, wouldn't he, Larry, against Tyson? He'd take it, keep bang, bang, bang that jab, yeah.
I would say you need it over 12. Personally,
I think he would have brought that. Andy mentioned earlier he was that killer, and he was, and his aura was like no other fighter has ever had in my lifetime. I don't think there'll ever be a fighter with the aura of Mike Tyson around him for being just a terrorizer, a brutalizer in the ring. But I think Holmes would have brought that quid out in him in the fight. I think he would have not maybe looked for a way out, but he would have just capitulated to Larry Holmes.
There we go then. Larry Holmes is the winner of the heavyweight tournament. We'll go to the cruiserweights next week. I think that went quite well. Just a bit of fun, isn't it? Just to get people talking. The chat seemed to enjoy it as well. Just a bit of bullshit that I come up with during the couple of weeks ago. So we're going to the cruiserweights next week. We're not going to go back too far in time. Just want to keep things relevant as we can before we go on to Bellew of the Weeks. Anybody else want to throw anything on before we go to Bellew of the Weeks for episode 368? Go ahead now.
Don't put Bellew in the cruiserweights because he just wants to be left alone. So we don't want to be drawing any more attention to him. Please don't have him in the cruiserweight tournament next week. He'd hate that. He would. He'd hate finding out how he'd fare against Dwight Muhammad Kawi. Bellew would. He wouldn't like to hear about that. Leave him alone.
I would love to do a cruiserweight, light heavyweight chats. I mean, light heavyweight is going to be. I know where Steve's gone with the names. Pretty much certain anyway. I could name at least 4 names so far that he's going to put in there for the light heavyweights. Bob Foster will be one of them. Our great hero Matthew Sad Muhammad, he'll be in there.
My favourite boxer of all time.
Oh, yep. Fucking Matthew, Richie Cates. Maybe need to go in there just so we can have a rematch with Richie Cates and Matthew Sad Muhammad. We need to have. I think we could maybe have Dwight Muhammad Kawi actually in both light heavyweight and cruiserweight. Steve, I think that we should make that a mandatory thing because I love Dwight as well, man. Dwight Muhammad Kawi was absolutely fucking brilliant. The kind of definitely the smaller version of Joe Frazier without the punch. But I remember, was it Michael? Was it the other Spinks brother? He was taking the piss out of, kind of putting his chin in the air, to kind of drawing it back all the time, about 3 or 4 times. That was, he was brilliant.
Yeah. Not going to spoil it, Andy, but I think there's a good chance Carway will slide into the cruiserweight version. I think there's a very good chance of that.
Bang on, brother.
There we go. Let's move on then, shall we, to Value of the Weeks before we finish up for the evening. Thank you to everyone for sticking with us. All things considered, coronavirus, it doesn't hate. Coronavirus does not discriminate. First nomination for Dominic Ingle for bringing out a coronavirus song. Has anybody actually heard this? It's some fun, isn't it?
It's great times, mate. I mean, with the Asian flu back in the 50s, we've got the coronavirus, aka Chinese virus, 2020s. Yeah, it's elite times. Mad cow disease back in the 80s. Thanks to Britain.
I think I'd rather get the fucking coronavirus than listen to that song.
Yeah. I tell you what, actually, just geese the fucking thing so we can get back to work, get back to normal and stuff. Because just say, I'm gonna need a liver transplant by the end of this fucking lockdown. Like, there's just there's no denying it. If you see my recycling box, empty bottles and that, by the way, you're saying to yourself, yeah, there's a problem in that house. Like, and they're not picking up the box anymore until this thing gets sorted out. So think about the walk of shame I got to take that box outside to the curb for collection, man. And I'm placing bottles around about this fucking box.
You need to get on the cans. I'm fucking done with them. Let's get on the cans. You just
I can't get on the cans, mate, because my fucking blue bucket's full with the gunnels with cans as well. Have you space? Honestly, I'll take a picture of what you see it.
Go on, Andy.
No, I'll take a picture of my blue bucket. I'll let Rob see it. Actually, I'm not kidding you.
Stick up the blue bucket in the chat. Talking of cruiserweights, actually, lads, what about this nomination for Sky Sports Boxing? They did a poll during the week. Who is the greatest cruiserweight of all time? On this week's podcast, Matthew Macklin and Sky's Johnny Nelson picked Holyfield at 1, Usyk at 2, and Johnny Nelson as number 3. Do you all agree? This has to be some serious trolling.
Oh my God! Well, we need. What was the 3 names again, mate? So Nelson. Who's the other 2?
Holyfield was first.
Right.
Usyk was second. You could interchange them depending on the argument. Number 3, Sky's Johnny Nelson.
Sky's Johnny Nelson. I mean, there's no duplicity or any fucking favouritism going on there because it's one of his company men and stuff like that. But you need to remember, we don't want to be kind of banging on Johnny and stuff like that. But Dennis Andries at cruiserweight, okay.
Juan Carlos Gomez.
Yeah, I know, but fuck, come on. I mean, he was hardly like. I mean, okay, he turned the corner and started beating guys and stuff, but the Carol Thompson fight, the stoppage was bullshit if I recall rightly.
Yeah.
As for the first 2, I mean, I could listen to both guys' arguments saying like Holyfield went through those guys quicker. Sorry, he went through those guys, unified the belts and stuff, and then went on to have a fantastic career at heavyweight and that. But you can also see like Carlos De Leon, who I think Nelson fought as well. He shit the bed against him, I think, if I recall rightly. He had the fights with Cal Wee. I mean, his reign at cruiserweight Holyfield as well isn't exactly strong with the opponents. Henry Tillman, I think, was there. Ozzy Ocasio was there. When you look at Usyk, he did it quick. He beat the main guys over 3 fights. Well, 2 of the main guys over 3 fights, shall we say. You wouldn't put Huck in the top 3, top 4 of the division. But Nelson, fucking, as Frank would say, do me a favour, man. Come on.
But Andy, you're forgetting about the reign of terror towards the end. Vincenzo Cantatore, Rudiger May. This is off the top of my head here. Alexander Petrovic. It was Premier stuff.
Premier stuff, mate. He did a lot of title defences. I think him and Marco Huck have got something 18, 19 WBO belt defences. But I'm sorry, David Hay and Thomas Adamek to another length actually were far better cruiserweights, in my opinion. Jean-Marc Mormec were far more exciting fighters than Johnny Nelson. Johnny Nelson, man, the entertainer. I mean, talk about trolling at the fucking best of levels. But I mean, Ezra Sellers had that great fight with Carl Thompson. Guillermo Jones.
O'Neal Bell, he was a great fighter.
He was. They had the 2 fights with John Mark Mormick. First fight was a belter as well, actually. But these names.
Second fight was ruined, Andy. I maintain the second fight was ruined. Do you remember it was an absolute barnstormer, and the WBC did that open scoring after 8 rounds, and Mormick realised that he was ahead, so he completely took his foot off the gas for the last 4 rounds, and it just ruined the fight.
I remember the first fight was the one with the stoppage in the 8th.
Bell stopped him. That was a brilliant fight.
Aye, that was the one I remember more. I need to go and check the rematch, actually, to be honest with you. Other name actually, Sebastian Rothman. Sebastian Rothman. He ended up fighting Carl Thompson as well, didn't he?
Thompson knocked him out, yeah.
Yeah, it was another great fight that Carl Thompson. How did you get the cat back on here, by the way? I think
Thompson had the shit beat out of him, didn't he, for half the rounds, and then he came back and KO'd him. That was classic comeback knockout. Yeah.
Ezra Sellers fight and the Sebastian Rothman fights were just absolute savage.
Yep, some good fights. Moving on, talking of great cruiserweights, Tony Bellew has been nominated for Bellew of the Week here. If you are one of them people in the parks just sitting off and socialising, you are a selfish prick. I've got 4 kids and they'd love nothing more than to go to the park, but as I've explained to them, we have to think about others, do the right thing, hashtag stay home, save lives, Tony Bellew.
See, to be honest, actually, I felt for Tony actually on that IFL interview, because that is every fucking parent up and down the closes and the streets and the fucking fields of fucking Britain and Ireland, by the way. Every fucking parent sat there with I've got a 7-year-old and a 10-month-old, right? Tony I think's got 3 boys, I think, or something like that. And they're roughly around about like 7, 8, 9, 10. Can you imagine having to be stuck in the house with 3 fucking kids badgering you for fucking hours on end, man? All you want is like a 10-minute sleep, you know, but a peace and quiet, and you just kind of get it. And you can just see him rubbing his face and that, you know. He, at that moment, you're like, "There's my handgun," you know, because honestly, guys, there's been moments in that the last couple of days where I've had to fucking reassess some situations. Like, I'm like, fucking come on. Oh, Jesus Christ.
No rest for the wicked on Sunday evening. Anthony Fowler, Tony himself, has been nominated from Ted Barrett. Working on my dreams every day, enjoying my boxing, ticking over, says Tony. Also, I've got keys to my own private gym too before the fun police starts. Hashtag Team Machine. And Ted pointed to the fact that you could hear punch bags being hit in the background. So you ain't alone there, are you, Tone? You ain't alone. George Nada has nominated Carl Froch, calling Calzaghe out. Have you seen the size of his head? I don't know why it's swollen up so badly. He looks like he's got high blood pressure. He looks a bit of a mess, so if he has agreed to fight, then I'd definitely fancy a bit of that. The boys are chatting here about... What is it now? Oh yeah, Rob. You've been called out here, apparently. Jamie was calling on Rapid Rob Kelly to drop a few verses to the Dominic Ingle coronavirus beat. So you could be drafted in there as a special duo with Dom. What do you think, Rob? You ready to get on it? Rob's not biting. He's singing out in the fields. Let's move on. Michael McAway, Andy, has nominated Paul Jarrett.
Yes.
Paul Jarrett said best wishes for your dad's recovery. Talking to Eddie Hearn. Terry Marsh couldn't get the job done, and neither will this cardiac incident. Unless I'm missing something, says Michael. You sure? Once you've tried to shoot one British promoter, you've tried to shoot them all.
Oh, I can see with that bullet ended up in Frank Warren's head and deflected, left that big dent in his forehead, you know, that he's got. But it was a classic case of mistake and identity there. Like, so yeah, definitely worthy of Bellew of the Week nomination, that one.
Yes, a classic case of a mistaken identity on every level. Dominic Henry has nominated Regis Prograis, urging Eddie Hearn to follow Dana White and use a private island to host fights now. Prograis was due to fight Maurice Hooker on April the 17th. Hot Stig has nominated Adrian Broner, Andy. Adrian Broner is ready to focus 120% on boxing. 120% of Broner. This could be it, Andy.
Yeah, in the same sentence he says it's over. Not only that, just think if I go to my regular weight of 135 pounds. Fucking shut up, soft ass shit up, man. 135 pounds. Your regular weight, he said as well. 135 pounds. You go about almost 2 bills, you fat bastard. You ain't making 135 again. As I say, I will pay your kids' tuition if you make 135 again, right? So fucking somebody sent that one to him, by the way. See if he does it or no. Fucking 135 pounds. Fuck me. Just
early front runner.
Fucking hell.
Maybe. Danny Robson has nominated Jorge JJ. Hasim Rahman Jr. put up a Twitter question: Roy Jones Jr. versus Saul Canelo Alvarez, who you got and why? Jorge jumped in and said Canelo, defence would be a nightmare for Roy Jones. He would dog walk Jones, landing body shots and slowing Roy Jones down. Roy Jones' chin is Amir Khan level, so he probably gets stopped late rounds. Prime Canelo against Prime Roy Jones Jr. at 168? Nah, or 175 even. Jorge can't get on board with that one. This is a good one here. And a solid work coming in. Just brace yourself. Super Dicky 193 has nominated this from Tony, the man himself, Tony Bellew. Red Issue brought this to our attention. Tony Bellew tweeting out thoughts with Kenny Dalglish and his family and friends right now. I've spent a little bit of time around Kenny in the last few years, and he's a proper gentleman who's full of banter. Thoughts and prayers for him. Get well soon, Kenny, mate. And a little blue heart. Next to a picture of Tone with his WBC title in front of a flag that says Kenny Dalglish is a homosexual.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, Two-Face get you, Tony. Yeah, Two-Face get you.
Leave me alone, Rob. Leave me alone. The SS just found them.
We could have been under. No, I'm looking at the SS only after dropping him back. Listen, he could have been under duress from the missus.
What a legend.
Right,
he's the gift that keeps on giving, isn't he?
Oh man, he's unbelievable, isn't he? What a two-faced gate. Imagine that fucking standing by his side saying a man is a homosexual. Nothing wrong with that, by the way, if you are. And then go fucking call. Oh, what a dickhead, like. Unbelievable, Tony Bellew. You have to love him, really. Like, he's fucking unbelievable value week in, week out. Like.
Oh man, another 2 weeks of this lockdown shit, man. He could be going. Other levels, man. He might need to retire the award actually if he fucking keeps going the way he's going.
I'm waiting for him to fucking join the 5G revolution. That's what I really want to hear. His thoughts on the 5G. Because we've had Amir give his fucking opinion. I really want to see where Tony Bellew stands on all this. For fuck's sake.
Let's get Tony on. Bellew of the Week, that's what it's called it. Gavin Stevens has nominated Leonard Ellaby. Tosha will at the end, don't worry. Leonard Ellaby for saying Gervonta Davis is the biggest attraction at 130 and 135, and that's an irrefutable fact. He might not be too far off the mark there. Moving on, Cholo, that's you, Andy. Eddie Hearn slams move by stubborn Dana White to stage island fights. Eddie's raging, rightly so as well. Why didn't you think of this first?
Exactly, mate. You know, if there's a chance to make money, you can guarantee that Eddie Hearn will be in there because, as Eddie said himself in that great interview that he gave, was it 2 or 3 weeks ago? In times of crisis, there's opportunity, and only the strongest shall survive. Evening, Eddie.
Wait till you see the numbers. Wait till you see the fucking numbers, evening, Ed. Wait till you see the numbers for that island fight. He'll be all over the fucking Tropicana Island breeze.
Oh, yeah,
over on Epstein's Island.
Oh, can you imagine dressing up like George Michael, by the way? Oh, fuck me. Think about it.
Down the Sugar Hut. Sugar Hut on tour. Evening, Ed.
Edward, how you doing, mate?
Here's one coming here, Ozzy. This could be right up your street, actually. Jake at War Tugboat has made me aware of this. Lucas Big Daddy Brown, friend of the pod, former T-shirt wearer, is saying, "What about these fantasy fights, Ozzy? Forget about our fantasy heavyweight fights." Lucas wants to know Prime versus Prime. Who you got? Okay, Ozzy, you ready? Lucas Brown, obviously. Alex Lepi, Solomon Hormono, and Cali Meehan. Could you imagine that? Prime versus Prime. What a time to be alive.
Or Mono, is that not Kelly Maloney?
Sorry, I was just brushing my teeth. Who are we on there? Leopi, Big Daddy Brown,
Cali Meehan and Solomon Hormono. Prime versus Prime. Lucas wants to know who you got.
That is on my that is on what's it called? If I click on Mixler now, there's a picture of those guys there. Is there
absolutely? I'm trying to spread the word. For him.
Right. I've got to go with the main man, Big Daddy Brown. That performance he put on in Russia was a boxing exhibition. On the back foot, didn't win a round, but then bulldozed forward and absolutely destroyed Shagayev. Fucking great shot that. I remember that, watching that on Box Nation.
A good fight, that. I like that fight.
It was a good fight, yeah. It was a good fight. Fucking hell, what a random tournament. I'd probably go with Leopi being deadly serious.
I would as well, yeah.
Yeah, being deadly.
Because he had good form, didn't he? Because Denis Boytsov was lined up to fight Klitschko, and Leapai dropped him and completely busted his career and took that shot. I'd say he had the biggest win.
He got stopped off the kingpin, didn't he, Leapai?
Was Boytsov no got a hard end? Did he no fall down a set of stairs at a subway station and end up in a coma or something like that?
Is that right? He had dodgy backing, didn't he, Boytsov? Didn't the Russian gangsters or something put money into his career?
I can't mind. There was him and Gregor Drodge, the cruiserweight as well. He was another one who had forced retire. I forget if it's one or the other who had the brain damage. I think it was Boytsov.
Maybe he got through down the stairs.
No, he'd been out in the piss or something like that, and he'd slipped. It was like winter time, and heading didn't he fucking slipped and banged his head and that, and ended up in a coma. I'm pretty sure it was him.
He was a massive puncher coming up on Eurosport, I remember that, and he was lined up WBO number one and a shot at Klitschko.
Yeah, that was the other thing as well. We'll just Boytsov, but if you go to Gregor Drodge, I'm sure he was WBC champion at the time when Bellew...
He was, yeah. He got injured, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right, and then because they vacated the belt, and that's why Bellew ended up fighting Maccabi for the vacant title.
That's correct.
That's right, aye.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's right.
Go ahead, Ozzy, sorry, have you got something to add in?
No, nothing.
Nothing on the career of Grigor Droz just yet, but you never know. By the end of the night, we might have something. Al Ayman, friend of the pod, take Ames in the chat tonight. Have to get Ames on in the future. Good guy that he is. Has nominated Elias Farias over on YouTube. Lockdown is really getting to some people. He's trying to come up with reasons why the greatest hitter, the greatest boxer, Deontay Wilder, was cheated and cannot be beaten legitimately. Another one here, Mirror Fighting. Eddie will be telling us to pay £25 next for Carl Froch versus Calzaghe. Belly of the week, says Tom Myers, who brought that to my attention. What else have we got? Let's have a look through. One from a few weeks ago, I think I might have missed at the time. Dominic Henry has put in a Belly of the week for Billy Joe Saunders, apologising for his antics by claiming he's a God-fearing man, and he's not buying that one.
Fucking hell.
CBD Addict has nominated Next Level Boxing Talk. It's time for hardcore boxing fans to accept today's reality and embrace it, says this gentleman. Boxing now is pretty much a team sport, and fans are openly rooting for their team. PBC, Top Rank, etc. Nothing wrong with that. You as a promoter, Raging Rage, should find ways to use it to your advantage.
Of course there's something wrong with that. Fucking support the fights or a fighter. There's no fucking promoters and fucking TV shows. At the end of the fucking day, these are the part of the problems why we're not getting these big fights. ESPN and rivalries between Ward and Hearn, for example. That's fucking no use. Make the fights. That's all we want to see. And then we can be fan of the fighters. That's all it is. Fuck the promoters. Fuck all these personalities, all your rappers and all that sort of shit. It's the fighters that matter. So get the fucking fights made.
Yeah, fuck these rappers.
You know what I mean, though, Rob? They're all wanting their minute of fame. They're coming out. I mean, some of these bitches come out here, man, like Lil Wayne. That's not a working word. He's fucking rapping, man.
Big time. I remember when I was in Limerick at one of the Andy D fights, and I was there in the hotel during the daytime. But I'd been around him for the whole afternoon, so it was time to go to the fight, and I had a limo, and he was like, "Do you want to get in?" And I was like, "Oh, I'll drive over," because I didn't want to be fucking seen as, I had been there all afternoon. He was getting ready for the fight. There was no need for me to be in the fucking dressing room. I had been there once. He invited me in, so I didn't want to be just like expecting to go all the time and all that shit. So I'd be the opposite. But you'd be surprised what you'd see when you're in and around there, like the way people behave around fighters and stuff, and especially in America, in the black community, you're going to have fighters gravitating towards rappers, and everybody wants to be gangsters and all until you lose, and then nobody wants to call you anymore. You know what I mean? So I remember Bleak telling me before, when he was selling gold and platinum, that he had 100 best friends, and then when he wasn't selling records anymore, he had about 3 best friends. So that's the way it goes in sports and entertainment. So yeah, you can see that coming for a lot of fighters at the moment, especially the way they hype it up on social media. I mean, Jamel Charlo, Rob Bellew of the week, gave one of his typical impassioned Charlo speeches from his house, you know what I'm saying, and talked about what he's going to do to the division, you know what I'm saying, and the thing about me is I'm a different type of, this usual fucking nonsense, so they're all caught up in social media and appearance and hype and all that, but like we said earlier, it's a very short time at the top, and you got to make the best of it, make as much money as you can, and all that hangers on and all that shit doesn't matter when you're fucking sitting in a rocket chair, you know what I mean. So
Charles
Well said,
Ho.
wise words. Wise words there from Rapping Rob Kelly on a Sunday evening. Okay, before we go round, Tosh was asking me to read the Tony Bellew one out again. Why not? It's worth reading out, isn't it? So Tony tweeted out, thoughts with Kenny Dalglish and his family and friends right now. I've spent a little bit of time around Kenny the last few years, and he's a proper gentleman who's full of banter. Thoughts and prayers for him. Get well soon, Kenny, mate. And then there was a picture of Tony with his WBC title in front of a big flag saying, Kenny Dalglish is a homosexual. So that was it, Tosh. Bit of hypocrisy from the man himself, old Tony Bellew. I know who's getting my vote. Excuse me, boys. Any nominations, Andy? First of all, from you.
Yeah, well, Broner again, just because it's baby bro. Maidana, actually, I don't know if anybody's seen this, but he sent out a fucking message during the week there about a personal prized possession that he's got, and that, and it's apparently he wears this apparently around about his neck. It's fucking for the first fight between him and Floyd Mayweather, when the third round when he landed that right hand that fucking put Floyd up against the ropes. Well, if you look at it, you actually see something come out of Floyd's mouth, and it's always been thought it was Floyd's tooth. So apparently Maidana's team picked it up, and he's actually got it all, he's got it embossed into a gold chain. He's posted. He's posted a picture of it and that as well, saying it's his prized possession. So yeah, I mean it's just typical Maidana, you know. And the other one is, I love this one. Absolutely love this one. Chris Mannix and Sergio Mora. Right, I swear, see if Sergio Mora hadn't boxed, man, I swear he would be a casual, because when he gives his opinion, that's all it is, a fucking casual. Chris Mannix, I expect better for him as well, but they actually, obviously kind of fishing for content and stuff, but they actually said or asked the question if Vladimir Klitschko should return to chase a legacy. Wait a fucking minute here. Vladimir Klitschko's got a legacy, right? So what the fuck's he going to come back at, 45 to chase one for? Fuck me, like, he's one of the most dominant long-reigning champions in the last fucking 50 years. Fuck's
12
sake.
years combined.
12 years combined. He was like, I think he's third in the all-time standings for defences. I mean, fucking hell, man. How's that not a legacy, you pricks? You used to get paid to talk about this shit.
The rematch with Tyson Fury we all wanted to see 8 years later. Didn't he get caught on camera before though saying, I don't know who the fuck these guys are commenting, I just come and make it up on the spot? Didn't he say something like that? Wasn't he caught on here commenting for PBC, and he
that's right, yeah,
he blew up his own spot? That was him, wasn't it? He was like, I don't watch these fools. Fucking, what are you on about? These guys on
that's
the
right, they left some icon, didn't they, in between rounds or something? Yeah.
So that'll tell you.
There we are.
That's
all the nominations for you?
Yeah, that's my ones, mate, yep.
Rob, any from you? Any nominations?
Not really. I think the Maidana one was brilliant, like absolutely brilliant. When I saw that, he's a fucking legend, isn't he? Maidana probably didn't fulfill his potential. Maybe if he'd gone to Robert Garcia earlier, he was always kind of a bit flabby around the midsection and all before that, wasn't he? He was the gas and stuff, but we probably didn't see him as good as he could have been. But gave us unbelievable night with Broner and two great fights with Floyd. Like, he even did well in the second fight, even though it wasn't as close. But El Cheeto, man, with a fucking Floyd Mayweather's dude sitting in Argentina, fat as a pig, shooting wild boars in his background. Well, Mayweather's selling Mayweather's daughter, by the way, we didn't cover that one. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah.
Mayweather's daughter is facing 99 years in prison, and she's got some high-profile lawyer, Jay Prince's lawyer, because she stabbed someone's baby's mother. And then Mayweather went on a PBR assault and started posting Instagram pictures of him training his son, showing what a good father he is. And now he just wants to train fighters like his uncle Roger Mayweather. It's nothing to do with drawing attention away from his daughter, who's facing 99 years for giving someone the old fucking, what you call it? I don't know if she gave her Chelsea smile or not. I don't know. I'm not sure the full details of the case, but that's got to be highlighted. Whoever said that Johnny Nelson was the greatest cruiserweight, that was fucking poison as well. Oh my god! Like, and what else was there? What was the big one that was standing out there? It was the front runner.
Tony, Big Tone.
Tony, yeah. How could he write that? They had straight face on him and all. I bet you when he was writing that and everything, two-faced gate. But maybe he's grown up and he's mature, and you have to give him the benefit of the doubt. Like Omar, Omar, you have to fucking just leave him alone. You don't get on with it.
Any nominations from you, Ozzy, at all?
You may well have mentioned it. Did we mention that Taylor Cobra guy for his row at Michael Conlon?
I think we mentioned that last week.
Yeah, last
actually.
week,
Go ahead.
aye.
Oh, was that last week?
Yeah, I mentioned that last week.
It
aye.
went just before we went on live last week, I think. It happened.
Some sort of mistaken
right,
identity or something.
right,
I can't remember.
Fucking hell, that shows what lockdown's doing. My days are all over. I thought that was early this week. No other nominations.
Okay, Ozzy, while you're unmuted, do you want to say who you're going for this week?
Yeah, Dominic Ingle, without a doubt. The guy has released 2 songs. He's not even a musician. One song is about Eddie Hearn, a fucking promoter, and the other one is about a virus that has killed hundreds of thousands of people and is wiping out.
Which is worse?
Yeah, which is worse. So he decided to write a song about it. So yeah, I don't think he's all there, mate. Like, what would go through your mind and think, yeah, I'm going to write a song about the coronavirus and then release it to raise money? It's just bizarre. Like, do a fucking sponsored fitness challenge or something. Don't pen a song about a fucking virus killing people.
Hope he wasn't sitting next to the drummer and the bass player and all that, more than 2 meters.
Yeah. Ingle is breaking the social distancing quite a lot, actually. So yeah, Ingle is one for me without a doubt.
If you're looking for a jingle, to call Ingle.
Ingle jingle.
Ingle, baby.
The Ingle jingle, good one. Yeah, Ozzy's made a strong case, Rob. I'm wavering, but I'm gonna have to go for Tony. Who are you going for?
Very, very tough to go against Anthony Bellew this week. Maybe, give him the benefit of the doubt. He's showing maturity. He doesn't think anything derogatory about Kelly Dalglish anymore. That was just a bit of football banter, and he hopes he doesn't die from the coronavirus. So maybe he's not all bad, Tony Bellew, and he's definitely keeping us going.
He's fucking asymptomatic as well, so he's no symptoms apparently. King Kenny, hasn't he?
Has he not? No.
He's no symptoms apparently. He's asymptomatic or something. So I read anyway.
Fuck. I don't know, man. I don't know what the crack with it is. Wish it was fucking over though. I know that. I'm definitely going to be. I'm definitely going to be in the doghouse for an Easter Sunday upon it, and there's no escape. Where do I go?
Jail, mate. That's probably the best place to go.
I take it.
2 for Tone, 1 for Dominic. Go on, Andy. You could be the decider here. There's 2 for Tony Bellew, 1 for Dominic.
Tony, without doubt.
Tony,
without doubt, and he capped it off as well because, as I say, it's probably a good point to end it as well, because obviously you feel sorry for the kids during this time. And Tony's like me, he's fucking struggling big time. We're all struggling, especially if you've got more than 2 kids, man. Fuck me. So yeah, Tony Bellew.
Congratulations, Tony. You are the Bellew of the Week. Your own award for episode 368. Well done. Andy, I know you have a couple of things just before you do so. Shout out William Lee, tagged me in this earlier. Maverick Stars Trust were tweeting out about boxing gyms and making sure deprived kids don't go hungry during the lockdown. Really worthy cause, giving them a shout out here. This is the opposite of a Bellew of the Week, says William Lee. Any chance you could give this a retweet and a mention on Sunday's show? Some of Manchester's boxing gyms are raising funds through Maverick Stars to make sure vulnerable kids don't go hungry during the lockdown. Very worthy cause. Thanks for drawing that to our attention, William. We shall retweet it again if not done so already. Andy, go ahead before we finish.
Yeah, just a couple of appreciations, I suppose, in that as well. As our very own Ben Frucky's wife's working front line, NHS, doing her bit to save people. So Have Daka Allah to Ben's wife, and just a shout out as well, which leads me on to an article I read last week on Ring Magazine about Abraham Lopez, 24-year-old. I forget what division he is. I think he's a welterweight. 23-year-old. He works as a respiratory therapist at the Olympia Medical Center in Los Angeles. He's on the front line as well, stabilising coronavirus patients, stuff, transferring them to larger facilities like Cedars, for example. So yeah, he's doing his bit, and just reading some of the stories, not what he's got to do when he comes home. He's having to clean his bag, his phone, his hands, his face, his clothes before he even enters the house and stuff. And things these guys and people have got to do to try and keep people living and come home to their own families and stuff. So got to thank these guys and that as well, because they're working hard under difficult circumstances and without the proper equipment and that as well. So we've got to think about these people as well, you know.
Yeah, shout out to all the listeners as well who have,
The
you know what I mean, just got laid off or whatever. You know, everyone's going through shit times or whatever. If you just keep on going, working from home, listening to the pod, fucking, you know what I mean? Enjoy that shit while it lasts.
Because
Well said, Rapping Rob
once
Kelly.
the lockdown
Well
gets
said.
lifted, we're going Patreon, maybe. It's
That's it, we're going behind the paywall then. The pay is
Absolutely.
back.
Yeah.
We're not champagne socialists. We don't want a donation at this time, but remember us when it gets good again.
For fans. For
Do it-
fans.
Do it for
Yeah,
fun.
yeah. Doing it for the fans. Thanks for sticking with us, everybody. Sorry about the fuss earlier. Not really sure what's happened. We'll try and iron that out for next week. Thanks to Ozzy, Andy, and Rapping Rob Kelly for jumping on. Thanks to Gabe as well, who made the effort. Couldn't stick the course with us. Shinny Bayar, special thanks to him. Jordan Reynolds as well, who jumped on the call. We shall catch you all again for episode 369. Hopefully, same time, same place next week. I've been Steve Wellings. Thank you and bye.
Fat Smeg